I look at guys like Steve Jobs. A lot of people are impressed. I'm not impressed. If your kids don't think you were a great dad, who cares if you made your dent in the universe, right? Mastery comes through frequency. We did a lot of small deals. We didn't start out doing $1 million deals.
Some people will listen today and go, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've heard that before. But then they don't actually do it differently, or they don't set a target.
Almost anything will work if you lock yourself in a box and you commit to that one thing. The reality is, as you start to meet your mentors and your heroes, you start to recognize that very few, if any of them, are fearless. They feel that fear, right? And then they're courageous and they move forward anyway.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast, coming back to you here with not only just a king here today, but the land king, Travis King himself. You got the last name as part of your title, my man. Travis King, welcome to the King stage. How are you?
Yes, sir. I appreciate your brand too. Gathering the Kings. When I heard it, I'm like, what? You got the crown, you got everything. I've been living it my whole life. So yeah. Ever since I was a little kid, they're handing out report cards for King Travis. So yeah, I love your branding and your community and everything too. Can appreciate that.
It would be too good to be true if my last name was King. And so it's probably a good thing that it's not. But for you, I think it's super cool because you get to be on the outside and go, well, dude, yeah, of course, Gathering the Kings. I got to call everybody with the last name King, have them on the show. No, I'm just kidding. Travis, you are a king, and that's why you're here. But you like to play in a sandbox of land and investing. And so tell us what kind of business that you have.
Kind of the asset class or business I'm in, it's pretty contrarian, right? Like it's not often you bump into people real familiar, right, with land, houses, multifamily, commercial, right? It's really common, but you're not at a cocktail party and other people in the room are familiar with land investing, right? Our business, what it is, it started for me about a decade ago, like as a side hustle outside of work, just trying to get into real estate investing. And had some traction with houses and house investing. And then the 2008 recession kind of humbled me, along with, I didn't feel too bad about it because it also humbled a lot of billionaires, right? So the '08 recession kind of had us rethinking what asset class in real estate we wanted to be in. So kind of when I was ready to get back into things, I had researched land and land investing and felt like there was a lot lower barriers to entry with it. Just a lot of potential to do much smaller bite-sized deals without kind of betting the farm, right? And over leveraging yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got into land about 10 years ago, and my wife and I kind of started the side hustle together and were able to grow it to a point that it, far exceeded my salary. So that allowed me to go full time, right? Which was a big deal. It's easy to quickly say in 10, 20-second clip, right? But like to build a side income that allows you to leave your job, I think there's a lot of people, right? That's absolutely a huge goal, right? So for us, we did that, and then we continued to scale the business. I started helping other people along the way, right? Which kind of led into like informally coaching people. I mean, just in forums, not like a business, right? Just coaching people, and then we would help them get deals.
Yeah.
And then they would say, hey, thanks for helping me get this property under contract, but I don't have the money. Any chance you want to partner on this deal? So just through being a good dude and helping others and kind of that were earlier in their journey where I had been, we have found a lot of opportunity on partnering on deals. Fast forward, long story longer, we ended up formalizing like an education and consulting company where I would coach and teach people. And then that later led us needing to stand up a capital company where we would bring in this outside money and fund and partner with students on the deals we help them get. So rather than just selling them like informational courses, right? Or rather than just hawking courses, we were really in alignment. And that if we got them deals, that meant we could partner with them. So we stayed operating our land investing company, our land flipping company is really what it is. And then we started an educational company, a funding company. And then our fourth company that we just started is actually like a tech company, a CRM for real estate investors and initially for land investors. So we've got 4 businesses. I kind of call them micro businesses because they all have 7 or less employees. Everybody's remote. Everybody's virtual.
Yeah.
They're all symbiotic. They're all centered around real estate investing and land investing.
I love the focus, man. One thing that you said there that really caught my attention, it was just you just said it because it's just truly who you are. But you said just through being a good dude and helping people, X, fill in the blank. And it was like, man, I think so many people in this game of success and business and trying to win and achievement miss the simplicity of what you just said, which is through being a good dude and helping people. Now, I think in the last probably 5 or 10 years that this helping people has become more popular, if that's even a thing. But tell me about that, being a good dude and helping people. Where does that come from? Why are you like that? Was that something that you had to learn?
Well, I,
Give us
I
more
think
information.
whether I was in the corporate world or what, I've always kind of enjoyed training people, right? Or helping the new guy. You know what I mean? I've had some absolute terrible
Yeah.
trainers and mentors, and then I've had a couple good ones, right? And there was a big difference in how quickly
Yeah.
I accelerated and advanced based on how bad the
Yeah.
mentor or trainer was and how good they were. So I always felt when, whether it was in my profession or whatever, somebody new came in, I enjoyed training them, right? And shortening that learning curve and helping get them to where they need to be as quickly as possible. So I think it's something I've always done way before we became, I guess, like entrepreneurs and started businesses. It's just something I felt comfortable with,
Sure.
right? And then I always also was kind of enjoyed documenting processes and systems and figuring out what is the system here so that we can streamline this. So the
Right.
kind of the two things pair together well, right? Where you're training somebody and you're kind of building like almost a syllabus or a system for them. So what happened is
Yeah.
I would just see
Yeah.
people post questions in forums, real estate forums, and specifically land investing. And they'd have the same questions I had, right? A year or 2 or 3 years ago. So it became a situation where you'd see these. And we had built a pretty good business where I was, at first there was just 2 3 years of tons of hustle, right? Like an insane amount of man hours into the business. And then we built it to a point where I was probably only
Yeah.
working 12 or 15 hours a week on the business, right? And everything was going great. So I had some free time. So I found myself kind of like in the forums, grabbing questions and answering and helping people, helping out and just recognizing, hey, they could like struggle or stumble on this question for months and I could in 10 minutes, you know what I mean, answer it or send them a Loom video or jump on the phone with them. So I started doing that and that led to some joint ventures and some deals. And then that led to people kind of referring their buddies, right? Their friends. Hey, work with this guy. Like he knows what he's doing. He'll help you get deals and then he'll even partner with you. So it was just one by one, kind of like you said, like helping people has gotten popular, right? For me, it just started with one person at a time, right? And then it just really organically grew through word of mouth and like no paid ads, nothing, right? Just grew through referrals really is how our education business started.
I want to go back to kind of just the initial baby of investing and even how you got burned a little bit in 2008. Why is real estate, do you think, just in general, as an industry is important? Why do you hang your hat there? Why is someone listening here today? Maybe they're already in real estate. We've had a couple hundred in real estate investors here on the show, but many entrepreneurs who are interested in real estate know the value there, but they don't know how to bridge the gap. Obviously, someone like you helps them bridge the gap, but why should they be thinking about adding real estate as a side hustle like you did and or potentially thinking about doing it full time like you did?
There's kind of a level playing field, right? Again, there's lower barriers to entry. It's not, if you want to be a surgeon, right? Like you can't fast track that through the hustle and aptitude. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You can't just hustle. So
Good
there's
example.
credentials, you know what I mean? Like you got to get degrees and credentials and right.
Yeah.
So residencies and things like that. So I feel like with real estate, the reality is after you're kind of oriented in whatever asset class you're getting into, right? It could be Airbnb, it could be land flipping, right? After you get oriented, kind of quickly educated, it becomes more about hustle. I think there's a lot of people that fall in that camp, especially early on, where they've got more time and hustle than they do money. Okay? And I think real estate investing really suits itself well for those people. And then I think just standing back to looking bigger picture, like mega wealthy people, a large percentage of them either got that way through real estate or now hold real estate. You know what I mean? So you can't really ignore real estate and wealth and kind of the correlation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What do you think, going back to that relationship that you just described around maybe getting the information or developing the skill versus hustle and how there's, they obviously go back and forth. You can't just hustle with no skill. I mean, you probably get some results, but it's better to hustle once you have a skill. And even if you have a skill and you don't hustle, then good luck, right? So talk about this in your journey. Like, when did you see the tip of, okay, I was a hustler, then I added a skill to it?
You can be a hustler without focus and spend decades jumping from one thing to the next, hustling, right? So there's some other things that come in there, right? Where you got to lock in on one thing and focus on it. And for me, that was kind of a struggle. That was kind of a problem. because I just felt like within 3 months, anything I got into should work, right? And it didn't. And then I later learned that almost anything, if you give it 12 to 18 months and you're just all in on that one thing, almost anything will work if you lock yourself in a box and you commit to that one thing. Okay, I think it just happened to be timing for me. I had done a lot of hop from one thing to the next, and I was ready to really commit to one thing and give it a go. And then, I think there's another piece there, the mindset part of it, right? Where you go, if you enter something skeptical, right? If you enter something real skeptical and questioning yourself, you're probably not going to be successful. You know what I mean? That's another piece of it, is mindset's constantly like battling you, right? Every time something goes bad or you take a step backwards, you start to rethink things, because early in your entrepreneurial journey, you're fragile, right? You're really fragile. You don't have this resolve. You haven't forged your armor yet. Okay. So you're second guessing yourself a lot in the beginning. Okay. So I think mindset plays a big role as you're building the skill set. But I'm a big fan of like frequency, like mastery comes through frequency. So I would say for us, like we did a lot of small deals. We didn't start out doing $1 million deals. I mean, we literally did some deals where we only made $2,000. So like what I built it on was like, hey, let's do a high number of really low risk deals where even though I'm only making $2,000 to $5,000 a deal, it's a given. I know I'm going to make it, right? And after I got through 20, 30, 40 deals, you start to feel this confidence. You start to feel proficient at what you're doing, right? And as you start to feel more proficient, you feel more confident. So for me, I think that was the thing, like the skill set, like some of it is like you learn while you go. You know what I mean? You're kind of building the airplane while you're flying it. So some of it is on the fly and is just developed with time. But I think for me, I was a little slow. I was pretty deliberate when I was getting educated and learning. The main thing was I didn't want to shell out a whole bunch of money on something that I was a little skeptical about. So I spent some time researching it. And then once I felt like it was validated, I just took small risks. And then for us, it was just a lot of small transactions to build up confidence and to build up proficiency.
Yeah, that confidence that you're talking about. I had Brad Lee on the show probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. I asked him, he's obviously had a ton of just incredible people on his show. I'm like, what's the one thing, the it factor in successful people? And he said, certainty, confidence. Like he named off 3 or 4 or 5 people. Is that person uncertain? No, so far from uncertainty, just super clear, super certain. So I can appreciate what you're saying there around the confidence. And then even you gave some really tactical things. Sometimes it's not about swinging for the fences at the beginning. It's about just pieces upon pieces upon pieces. Now, the cool thing about what you said there also, this is for the listener, is that he didn't stay there. He kept doing small deals to get the proficiency so that he could do better and bigger deals, which is part of the story that he didn't share there, but that obviously is true because you've continued to even build further businesses. One thing that you said at the beginning of all that I want to dig into further, you said, I finally felt like I was ready to focus on one thing because before it was a problem. This is an entrepreneurial epidemic. So when you said I was finally ready, describe that moment in time, the overwhelm, the stress, or was it just like tired of trying things and not? What was that moment?
It's hard to read the label when you're inside the jar. Okay, right? And that's kind of the thing. It takes a little bit of introspection, a little bit of self-awareness. And when I started to kind of look at the things behind me that I'd tried, I started to go, were they all bad picks? Or what happened here? And then I realized like some of them were 3 to 6 months long, little efforts or attempts. And I started to go, okay, so you know what I mean? Maybe like I'm switching too quickly from one thing to the next. So there, you kind of have to have a hard conversation with yourself where you go, a lot of people just walk through life with a bias. They go, well, that didn't work. Drop shipping doesn't work. Real estate investing doesn't work. Well, come on. It's working for a lot of people. It didn't work for you. So sometimes you kind of have to take accountability and recognize like, all right, did I not give it enough? Did I not put enough money into it? Did I not put enough time? So for me, it came through self-inventory of going, why is this stuff not working? Because there's a tendency to just go, maybe I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur, right? But the reality is there's probably something that you can put your finger on of why it's not working. And for me, I think it just came from that, like kind of taking self-inventory and saying, why did these other things not work? And owning up to that and then saying, okay, going forward, next venture, right? We're not doing any of that. And that's what I'd say to people is And even for me, I follow a lot of influencers, I follow a lot of authors, and a lot of these people can feel like bigger than life, and they just come across as like fearless. And what you start to learn, like as your business grows and you get more revenue and you start more businesses, and then the reality is, as you start to meet your mentors and your heroes and people, like you start to recognize that like very few, if any of them, are fearless. Like there's a lot of people that are courageous. I mean, it takes courage. Like, people
they're
are
human.
courageous, meaning do something that they're fearful too. They're scared. They're going to lose money or disappoint their family, or this won't work, or they're going to be a public embarrassment, right? So they're fearful too, but they feel that fear, right? And then they're courageous and they move forward anyway. I think for me early on, I just assumed like these people had this fearless gene that I didn't have, right? And it's not a fearless gene. It's just like a courageous act more than being fearless.
I so appreciate that. Courage is a big word. And I think that people, when they understand it truly, you gave a great definition there. Doing it anyway, even though you have fear. In fact, if you have fear, good. That means you're alive. You can feel.
That's growth. That's how growth feels.
But don't hold back. That's right. That's right. Okay, so there's a lot of pieces there, just so good. In fact, I want to just encourage the listener to maybe hit the pause button, go hit the minus or reverse 30 seconds a couple times and listen to you again. What would you say that person who's kind of bouncing around and lost, for lack of better terms, right? It's a sticking point, a persistence. I'm hearing you in your story. I also heard you say you gave a timeline, and I'm going to speak to the timeline here in a second, but I want to give you another opportunity to really kind of flush this out. Is there anything else that goes in that equation of persistence, maybe a little bit of timeline, commitment? What else is in that formula that you use?
Well, for me, I think you could get generic and go, you have to have a why, right? But like for me, it's more than like a why. It's you have to have defined goals, like where are you going? So for me, when it started for us, my wife and I, was like, okay, let's build this side hustle we want $10K a month of recurring revenue. That's a very measurable, quantifiable thing, right? You either get there or you don't, or you're getting there or you're not, right? It's not, hey, I want to live freely. You know what I mean? What does that mean? You got to define like that. So I think knowing why you're doing it's really important, but also like knowing what would be a success when you get there. Like what, a lot of times people's idea of success is something an image they've seen or somebody else's. But I would just say, spend a minute. For you, what is successful? Is that like being able to like go out to lunch with your wife or walk the dog a couple times a day and do what you want when you want, work a couple hours a day? Is that success to you? Or is it like owning a business that makes $100 million a year? Like kind of define for you what you're working towards. What does success look like? What's the perfect day look like, right? And work towards that. So for us, we just kind of started with something we felt was achievable. We felt like it was achievable to replace my salary. And that was like, okay, let's start with trying to build a business on the side that's $10K a month recurring revenue. And then when you get there, you start to, again, like I said, along the way, you build confidence in yourself, right? And then you start to even go, well, why did we pick that number? And that seems like really small thinking now, but at the time it felt like this really big thing. So it's interesting. You're on this journey of building a business or becoming an entrepreneur, and you have all these financial goals, these revenue goals, but it's more about like the development, the self-development that happens along the journey is like this positive byproduct, right? That you don't plan on, the confidence you build along the way. So, but I think for me, it's just kind of when I start with people, like when I'm coaching, I don't coach everybody same. I kind of go, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to build? Are you a single guy who doesn't mind working 60 hours a week and you want to build this massive business? You know what I mean? Or do you got 4 kids, you're committed to your wife and you guys love to spend time together. So we've got to build a really efficient business where you have some team underneath you, right? You know what I mean? Where you're getting the revenue you need, but you're not as actively involved. So it's very individual, right? You just got to sit down and go, what am I trying to accomplish? What am I trying to build? And it's just more like having a plan versus, I talked about hustle, but like we got to have a plan to get us there, not just best effort every day and hustle and grind, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Think and Grow Rich is pouring out of you right now. I mean, you're talking about desire, you're talking about a specialized knowledge inside of your plan. With your skill set, I mean, everything is just, they're all skill set or all success principles, and it's just flowing out of you, which I think is just super valuable. The cliche in this is that there's a lot of podcasts, probably even you've spoken on other podcasts about these topics. I know I have, but some people will listen today and go, sure, yeah, I've heard that before. But they don't actually do it differently, or they don't set a target, a clear, defined target, and then create a plan. And then I loved how you said, you even used it with your hand. You said,
Yeah.
moving toward it. It doesn't mean that it has to be done today. I just need to move toward it. It's not the result that I'm actually after. It's what did I do today to move toward what I'm saying that I want? Because if I'm not moving toward it today, then I don't actually want it.
I
Right.
think for people, a lot of people that are unhappy in jobs or in their profession and stuff, that's like a lot of times what we measure things on as humans, right? Is what's our purpose? And then are we progressing? So I think a lot of people, like, you feel like in your occupation, maybe you feel like you're not progressing, right? So that's really the sticking point for a lot of people. Either they don't feel purpose in that role or they don't feel like they're progressing. So if either one of those things are happening or both, the worst case, right? Like, you're unhappy. And that's the reality of it. So I even think, like, when you're building something, a business on the side or an entrepreneur, you have to progress. You know what I mean? You don't want to feel like you're repeating the same year over and over. And as boring as it may sound, those goals, those metrics, all of those things, you got to run it like a business, right? And that's how you can measure instead of just feeling like you're having a better year this year than last year. You got to have something to measure that.
Yeah, I got to have a scorecard, some sort of scoreboard to know if you're winning. The time frame, the piece that you gave earlier, that 12 to 18 month, kind of almost like minimum commitment. I just loved that piece. I want to hit that just again here real quick, because there's been times where, of course, I'm in different industries. I got different businesses. And so I feel oftentimes like where I'm the attention and that epidemic of going all over the place as entrepreneurs. I've felt that many, many times. But when I look back, because I've had a couple people really try to dive into that with me, into particular my story, I did one business. Now I grew that business with multiple locations. I did that one lane for 7 years before I didn't touch anything else. And then I stepped into real estate, and I've done real estate for not quite a decade now. And so, okay, when you look back after, let's just call it 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, like I have in a couple of different industries now, you look back, you're like, oh my goodness, I just been head down working, not really counting the costs of my effort. Yes, trying to be efficient, trying to grow in my skill sets. I'm obviously personally development. I help people develop personally now. But it's, if you can just do it like you're talking about long enough, 12 to 18 months at a minimum, really 5 years, 10 years, you look up and you're like, dude, we've got some stuff kind of working. Like things are really starting to come to fruition. Like the crop is not only come up, but there's a harvest here.
I think what happens, like you think of all the things you switch at. Let's say I did 4 or 5 different side hustles and I did each one for 6 months. You know what I mean? There I am 2.5 years into trying to do side hustles. Well, if I just picked one and said, all right, for the next 2.5 years, I'm going to focus on getting better at this thing and making it profitable, there's a way higher chance that it'll work, because each time you switch from one thing to the next, you're starting over, right? So sticking to that one thing, it's kind of this. I think there's a lot of times you're impatient in the beginning, especially like if you're unhappy in a job, you're just like looking for this thing to save you to get out, right? So you try to rush things. And
that's right.
And unfortunately, there's accelerators. I would say there's accelerators like you. There's mentorship. There's things like that are accelerators, but there's not shortcuts. And that's hard to hear. And you don't want to hear that when you're in the spot you're in. But there are no shortcuts. But you just got to look for leverage points and accelerators to get you somewhere. But you can't try to shortcut the process, right? Or you're just going to keep repeating. And that's where I was at, was moving from one thing to the next, looking for the quick fix, the shortcut, versus, like you said, putting head down, committing to something.
Hey, kings and queens, Chaz Wolfe. I want to talk to you about something that's super important to me. We put a lot of time and effort, we meaning myself and my team, into this podcast, into the content that goes out every single day. And if you have been getting any sort of value or insight from this, we want it to be able to reach other business owners too. So we would love if you would like, comment, share, leave a review, post, share again, all of the things on social media, on all the different platforms, or even on the podcast mediums of Apple and Spotify. We would love to be able to get our content into more hands, more entrepreneurs, so they can grow their business as quick as possible. Together, we are building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are committed to growing their businesses to new heights. So let's do this. Let's help each other. Let's help each other grow. What is the difference? You used shortcutting and accelerating, and you kind of gave a little bit of an example there, but to me, I see a pretty staunch mindset difference. What does that mean to you?
One, you can either, like on your own, if you're trying to accelerate your progress, rather means than just showing up each day and doing the thing and kind of seeing what happens, you could look at somebody else who's been successful doing exactly what you're trying to do, and you could kind of reverse engineer it and you could go, how did they get to where they are, and follow those steps, and you could replicate that on your own. That would be one method of accelerating your success versus just making all the mistakes yourself and then learning what they've learned in 10 or 20 years of doing it, right? So making all those mistakes, it's just, you can get there. It just takes a lot of time, right? So you can learn from somebody else's and kind of reverse engineer them, or you could find somebody like you. Let's say I want to start a podcast next week. Should I just start one and hit go? Or should I reach out to you and say, if you started a podcast again, what would you do differently? And can I cut you a check? Can we sit down for a couple sessions, couple hours or a day? And you could line me out on this, right? Or, hey, I want to start a mastermind, Chaz. I started a mastermind. Or should I just go do that on my own? No, an accelerator would be to like reach out to you and say, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? What would you do differently? And then I'm going to cut you a check for that time and that wisdom. And that's going to collapse, right, my learning curve, and therefore accelerate me getting to be successful at that thing. Yeah. So I think that's what I say when I say shortcut, like, we're trying to kind of cheat the process without putting in the work, right? We're trying to cheat the process, and you really can't. So I find that the accelerator is usually identifying somebody who's been where you are, done what you want to do, and then whether get coaching, consulting, or mentorship from them, or if you can't afford it, just reverse engineer them as much as you can from afar, okay, and try to replicate their path. Right? That's a free way to do it. It's going to take more time. But it sure beats just going at it on your own, and just kind of seeing how it goes. I didn't have the money for a mentor, a coach, or a mastermind. I just replicated, broke down other people and their path. So that's why I'm presenting that as an option. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. The caveat, or not the caveat, but the opposite of that would be, like you said, doing it yourself. Or what I find oftentimes, the word is isolation. It's kind of a weird word, but we do it to ourselves. Right? As entrepreneurs, sometimes even as, I can go dads, husbands, I could kind of create a lot of lanes here, but as, let's just say, highly successful people, or people who want to be highly successful, we just kind of get in the groove, maybe even with good intentions of putting my head down and just doing the work I'm being told to do here on this podcast. But if I'm not reverse engineering, seeking help, or even just trying to get around somebody via at least a podcast, or getting in a community, or paying for a coach, like all of these things that can accelerate. If I'm not doing those things, what I'm truly choosing is like self-isolation. And it's like I'm cutting myself off from anybody else that could influence or agitate my thought, which is what Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich says a mastermind is anyway. It's not a big group coaching program. It's me and you talking together and me going, wow, that was a really interesting way that he said that. I am going to go change something because of that. And so, again, that can happen on podcasts. And so I think that everything that you've given to the listener, super powerful. If you were listening to this show back then, what do you think you'd be thinking right now? Listening to you, going, are you fired up? Are you ready to go? Are you a little uncertain still? What does the younger Travis say listening to this show?
I always have to recalibrate now where we're at, right? Where we're at with our businesses, right? Is that it kind of felt like a dream to build a side hustle that would replace the job income to escape the job. That was like a major goal. Never would I have thought like that we would go on to start 3 or 4 other companies, you know what I mean, and run businesses. So I think there's like this Grand Canyon type like chasm or gap. So I think sometimes as entrepreneurs and as business owners, as people grow, there's a disconnect between you and the guy or gal that's still commuting to work and just trying to achieve that initial thing. So I think that's what I'd say is you don't measure yourself based on where somebody else is, right? Like they were in different chapters, right? So you know what I mean? Let's go back to that chapter. For me, what might resonate more for people is like my journey going from commuting to work, listening to podcasts, working on self-development, trying to grow, like focusing on a side hustle, painfully having 2 or 3 years of overlap between job and side hustle to be able to step out of that. So I think that's kind of the things you start with. Instead of looking at where somebody's at now, you kind of go, if you really follow somebody or attract somebody, you kind of see it. None of it's overnight. None of it's overnight. There's a ton of work and time that went into it. So if you kind of back up and go far enough back, bring them to a point where they're relatable to you or closer to where you were or are. And for me, I think that's a lot of the time was when I was an employee, right? And I was in a W-2 job. And that's the 2 things I joke about. So I say that's the only 2 things I miss about having a job are like having the commute because I love listening to podcasts. I truly, right? So I don't have that commute time now, right? I'm at home. The other thing is really nice to have an IT department, right? Who'd come fix the printer, come work on the computer, you know what I mean? All that technical stuff. So those are the only two things I miss from having a job. But I think, yeah, that's probably more relatable. If we were in a mastermind amongst other business owners, right? It might relate more to them about running or owning multiple businesses and the challenges. But like for a listener, right, who's maybe trying to find their lane, that would probably be more relatable.
Yeah. You're big on family. I've watched a lot of your content. You've got your boys in some of your stuff, and your family is big for you. And so I want to go down the family lane for a second. Just kind of keeping this lane of you talking to the younger Travis and maybe what was relatable. How are you explaining what we were just talking about to your sons, where it's like there's persistence, but then there's like this time of things going to happen over the course of time. And maybe you see that dad has been successful, but they haven't seen that long history of long nights and working and side hustle and missed opportunities. And they didn't see any of that. And so how are you showing them?
Well, this all started because of that, because having to travel for work for me, it was like I'd have to leave our two little boys, and then my wife would stay home and do the heavy lifting, and I would miss them, they would miss we. It wasn't any fun, right? Like traveling. So for me, it was like, I've got to get to a point where I don't have to travel work. You know what I mean? It's my decision if I want to go anywhere, and if I do, we're bringing the whole family. So for me, that was a hard thing, having to travel with little ones. Didn't bother other people. Some colleagues I had, it didn't bother them one bit. They liked getting away from home, right? For me, it was tough on me. It was really hard on me, and it was probably even harder on the family when I left them. So that was the purpose. For me, that was like the driving force of, all right, this has to work. It wasn't really about like money. It was like, okay, how do I build a life where I get to be like involved and not like a spectator? You know what I mean? I get to be a husband, a dad who's present, right? And I'm there versus, oh, dad's out of town. Maybe he'll bring us a cool toy or treat when he comes back, right? So for me, it all started with that. And yeah, the boys, they're fun because they're getting older now. I've got a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And we've been at this kind of entrepreneur thing about a decade. So they've seen, right? They've seen it. And they even joke now we've got a fourth boy on the way. So boy number 4 coming here in May, and they kind of joke, that's what they say is, well, he's going to have it easy from the start. He never had to move houses. He never had to do all, you know what I mean? We're just joking, right? Because the kids are like, yeah, they were part of the process, right? They grew with us. They saw like the work we put in, the hours we put in. They also saw us like go from smaller starter home to a bigger home, right? With a backyard, a basketball court, like some of the things that like they were vested in too, right? So it wasn't just, hey, we want a bigger house. It was like, we want a house with a basketball court, right? So as the older boys have seen that, they kind of even are teasing about the new baby coming. They're like, his baby's not even going to know what it's like to struggle or have to order waters when we go out to eat, right? So they're part of it, but we actually had a funny situation, Chaz, where my oldest, when he was in 8th grade, we got a call from the principal because he was selling Prime at school. Okay, so when a year ago, when this Prime energy drink was really like at its peak, our son, he had us buying him cases of this Prime energy drink at the Target or wherever. And then we'd buy it for like $1.80, and then he'd bring it to school and sell it for $5 or $6 a bottle. So he did this for about 3 weeks. And the principal's, hey, like, she was great about it. She's like, hey, I really do like respect the entrepreneurship here, but I can't have parents call me saying, hey, my son paid 10 or $20 for a bottle of Prime, right? So he didn't get in trouble, but we can't keep doing this. I appreciated the hustle and what he was trying to do. I had a little note taker, like his inventory, right? So so I think it's good. I think some of it, they see how all of the hard work can pay off. They see it's hard work, but there's even things, Chaz, our kids at 13 and 15, they understand what affiliate marketing is. You know what I mean? They're not just watching YouTube videos. They get when somebody says, hey, click this link here. They understand what's going on. So I feel like little things like that, like us just being able to teach them those are really important, right? Where they kind of understand how everything works and why things are the way they are. They're kind of learning a little bit of business along the way. They sell some they flip sneakers, they do all this stuff, right? So they're like, they have no interest in land. I mean, but in their own interest, they understand like arbitrage and flipping and
value. They're adding value. The Prime at the schools because they couldn't get it anywhere else, and so of course they pay $5 or $6 or $20 because you can't get it. My 10-year-old last year was 9. We homeschool now, but she took some items, some treats to school. And it was the same day. She didn't get away with it for 3 weeks. It was the same day we got a phone call. And I'm like, what is this? Is this America? I mean, come on. Anyway, it was funny because our kids' school at that time had it's a little private Christian school, and they have what they call it a llama lounge. That's their mascot. And this is pretty young kids. And so she was like, the first problem is that there's peanut butter or something, there's allergies, and we want to be, okay, fine. But I know that this item is sold in your llama lounge. It sounds like you want to run a monopoly here. It's fun to be able to breathe that into our kids. What do you think has helped you guys along the way obsess both over that lifestyle that you just described of wanting to be a good dad, husband, business owner, good guy, like you said earlier, and not just be all in only on the business? Yeah. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs are good at obsessing, but they're still trying to figure out how to obsess over all things at once. How have you done it?
Just really like spending a lot of time thinking what's important, what's truly important to you, right? And I look at guys like Steve Jobs. A lot of people are impressed. I'm not impressed. If your kids don't think you were a great dad, who cares if you made your dent in the universe, right? To me, that I'm not impressed with that. I'm really not. So to me, it's if you can have a strong marriage that lasts, right? You can raise kids that are good humans and want to be involved in your life and still want to see you and spend time with you, right? Like to me, these are the things that are like successful. You've got to pay bills along the way. And at some point, you have to have some nest egg to retire and to retire with dignity and to be able to hopefully help your kids. So you can't ignore money, right? Like you said, the scorecard, you have to have money along the way. But for me, it was more like, hey, what's the cost? There's a cost here. So you'll notice imbalance when you spend too much time on one thing, the other things suffer. So as you're starting businesses or you're hustling or you're doing this, you want to make sure it's not at a cost of your family. Right. So for me, it was like my wife from day one, when we started talking about this, she said, yeah, let's do it together. Right. So I was fortunate that she had a background in the mortgage industry. Right. And so she was perfectly suited for what we were doing. And that really helped, because if it was just me doing this on my own, I think everybody would view it as, oh my gosh, like Dad's obsessed and it's robbing all this time. But I think the fact that like, we're talking about work together, right? We're on the same page with things. She's vested in it. She's helping me build it. That's worked it doesn't work for everybody. That's what's worked for us, is that we're just completely, we're closer, right? I have a respect for her because she's helped clean up companies. She's helped grow companies. She's helped me from starting companies I shouldn't start or take on more than I should do, right? So like I have beyond just a wife, I have a respect for what the role she's played in the businesses. But it's also like just brought us to where we're on the exact same page. I'm not coming home talking about my day as a rocket scientist and she has no interest, right, in rocket science. It's like we're in the same game together. So for me, I feel like that makes it, that's easier for us because we're on that same page, because it's really easy, to become consumed. Everybody has a little ego in them, right? So that ego will want you to just grow, like just as everybody talks about, like real estate, right? Number of doors owned, revenue, like team size, all this stuff. You've kind of got to understand, and it's probably easier for me now because I'm a little older, right? So in my early 20s, I probably have a different opinion. That's how I would measure success, right? Yeah. But for me now, being a dad and husband, I look at success a lot different. So for me, like it's like the most important thing, right, is keeping the family together and the family staying close. So if the business is starting to cost some of that, then it's the business that's got to like suffer or shrink or go away, right? Yeah. So I think it's a very personal thing. Like I say, like I'll coach guys in their early 20s. They're in a different spot in life. So for them, like we're going to try to grow their team as big as we can. We're going to try to grow the revenue as big as they can. And they don't mind working 60, 80 hours a week. Okay. But I think it's just an individual path, and you just got to like take self-inventory and build it in a way that you're happy with what you've built. Right.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. I think it's all defined. Goes back to what you said earlier. You have to clearly say what you want, the why even, or the burning desire. Burning desire. Rich. Yeah. Once that's clear, then everything else just falls into line with that. So you're spot on. I love the answer. One last question here as we wrap up. I had talked with you a few minutes ago about what the younger self would think about this podcast, but if you had the chance to chat with the younger Travis and you tapped him on the shoulder and you just whispered him something quick, what would that be?
I'd probably say don't be so hard on yourself. I think early on I looked at failure when things went wrong or we had a failure. like I said, it's like, I'm a failure. It's a failure. It was just so like permanent, like a mentality of thinking failure was permanent. And what you like realize along the way, along the journey, is that failure's like this. Failure, like you're knocked down. It doesn't mean like you stay down. Like there's the option to get back up, right? Dust yourself off, right? And then that might happen several more times. So I think early on, I just assumed everybody that was successful got it right the first time, the first effort. And I think that's what I'd kind of tell myself is that, hey, it's probably not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Give yourself some grace, because along the way, there's a lot of failures along the way, and that's perfectly okay, right?
Yeah, such a great message. Poise, patience, kindness towards ourselves. I mean, especially as young drivers, like, bro, we just wanted to go.
You really do. You're just so hard on yourself, I think, because you're always looking at others and measuring yourself at others, right, towards them, and then assuming that they did it easier, more effortlessly than you have, right? And the reality is most people, like, they're just keeping that private, right? That the struggles they had, right? But yeah, everybody experiences them. Yeah. You got to take your lumps.
That's right. Okay, Travis, you've got content out there. Where can they find you? If they want to learn about investing in land, if they want to be maybe a student, if they want to get in on a deal with you, if they're already in land and they want to check out your CRM, give us some information here.
TravisKing.com is probably the easiest place to go. You're going to have an obnoxious, relentless pop-up like when you go to TravisKing.com that's going to say, hey, because I want to give you my book for free. Okay. So I think that's pretty fair, right? So you fill out your info and I'll get you my book. If you're interested in land investing, that's probably a great spot to start. When you go to TravisKing.com, we've got a free challenge. Like I did a 7-day challenge. We recorded it in studio. Like when I started, it was like I was on YouTube University getting all this fragmented information. And I probably spent 9 months trying to like piece together because there weren't a bunch of like courses or as much education now. Keep in mind, this is land, right? This isn't duplexes or something. So there wasn't as much education 10 years ago. So for me, it took a long time to piece everything together. So we created a challenge. It's 7 days, 100% free, right? It's a good starting point. If you kind of go, I want to get oriented with land. Is it something I'm even interested in? That's a good thing to do without having to get your credit card out, right? And then we've got one-on-one coaching, group coaching. We've got a number of things. We've got a course. If the challenge and the book kind of resonate with you. And then really our approach has been like, not just teach you this and sell you courses or education, but I'd love to partner with students on deals, right? Like maybe we do a subdivide project together, right? Make some real, not just sell a course, but make some real money, right? Like partnering on a deal. So that's a big part of what we do too, is really trying to train people up to be advanced investors and then partner with them. Right? It's not so much, it is an education company because we built all the education, right? The whole value ladder's there. But honestly, we'd rather build this big network of investors that can do deals together. But TravisKing.com is probably the easy one-stop shop for that.
Well, Mr. King, you have been a king here today. That's for sure. I just admire you from afar. Hopefully our relationship from here is not from afar, but up until now, it's been incredible getting to know you. Today, you've been an absolute blessing to any listener who took the time to be intentional about their listening. You gave them so much gold. Thank you for being here. Blessings to you and your family. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.